Olá, muito obrigada pela sua audiência aí comigo, vocês aí sempre me dando essa atenção, agradeço muito. E hoje estamos aqui com o vice-ministro de Relações Exteriores do Azerbaijão, que é o senhor Elnur Mammadov. E ele vai me falar sobre a experiência dele aqui no Brasil, sobre as visitas oficiais, sobre projetos humanitários e sobre as relações entre Brasil e Azerbaijão. Então, siga aí a gente, que em breve você vai conferir essa entrevista. Muito obrigada. Mr. Elnur Mammadov, first of all, thank you very much for being here with me now, Fabiana Seyhan, and thank you for visiting my country also. We are good friends of Azerbaijan, especially me after my visit. It's a country that I really appreciate. And I would like to ask you, what are your impressions about my country, Brazil?
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. So this is the first regional visit in recent years from Azerbaijan to Brazil. And in my role as a newly appointed vice minister, I'm in charge of the region. So this is a regional tour, not only to Brazil, but we are hoping to cover 3 more countries. We will be visiting Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay in the coming days. But I would like to stress that we have started our tour in Brazil, which I take as a sign of respect for this wonderful country. This is obviously a wonderful place to be for many reasons. If you take a look at the development of relations between our 2 nations, they've been steadily growing. Of course, there have been some negative effect from the fact of pandemic in the last couple of years. But we take and look at this as an opportunity now in the post-pandemic period when the borders are reopening to pay this visit, to show respect, check on our mid to near-term priorities, and understand where we stand on the issues of bilateral interest as well as the developments in the region. And based on that, take it forward. So far, as I've been here just for a day, the impression was very positive.
Thank you so much for answering the question. And during this visit now in Brazil, I know that you had several meetings with our authorities and our people. Can you tell us a bit about these visits and the result of these visits, please?
We've had meetings yesterday, and yesterday I had a chance to meet your foreign minister and his team at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I also had meetings at the President's office, also met the Deputy Minister for Agriculture. And during those meetings, which will continue today, as we will be holding the 3rd round of political consultations between Azerbaijan and Brazil, we discussed the issues of common interest. The most recent developments in the region, there have been quite significant developments in our region that I used the opportunity to update my colleagues. As you know, in 2020, Azerbaijan finally liberated its territories from illegal Armenian occupation. And now we are engaged in a massive rebuild of those territories, which are more than 10,000 square kilometers. So it's a huge territory that requires a massive rebuild and reconstruction efforts. And we started just after the war, actively engaged along with our international partners in a process of reconstruction. So I provided the most recent updates on what we do and what projects are available to make sure that the Brazilian side is well aware, and also if they show the interest, that the doors are open for them to join those reconstruction projects. Also, we talk about the chairmanship of Azerbaijan in the non-alignment movement. We were elected as a chair in 2019, and this year our chairmanship was extended for another year. So until 2023, we will be chairing the 2nd largest institution after the UN, which is a non-alignment movement with 120 states. And Brazil, as an observer state, has been very supportive of Azerbaijani initiatives within the NAM, and we hope we will cooperate closely on that international platform. So we also talked about our bilateral relations. And it was good to note that despite the negative impact of the pandemic in the last couple of years, the trade turnover between our 2 nations have steadily increased. And at the moment, Brazil is very much interested in continuing to import and expanding the volume of import of fertilizers from Azerbaijan to Brazil. And we see this as a good opportunity to expand our cooperation in the field of agriculture. Now, Azerbaijan is traditionally oil and gas rich country, and as we are moving and diversifying away from oil and gas and carbon resources to renewable energy and to non-oil sector, we are also interested in developing relations and expanding them with Brazil in the fields such as tourism, such as construction. We also spoke about the opportunities that are available to Brazil in the region as we embark in opening of new international transport and transit corridors which lie through the territory of Azerbaijan. So as we know, Brazil freight forward the goods through the territory of China that finally need to find their ways to Europe. So Azerbaijan, as a country which is at the crossroads of East and West, the transit routes, the middle corridor, one of them, lies through the territory of Azerbaijan. And we also talked about the new opportunities that are available out there.
Yeah, I must agree with you because I was very impressed with Azerbaijan. It's a very rich and organized country. So congratulations, and I hope you do good business with Brazil. I would like to ask you another question. The conflict going on now between Russia and Ukraine. What's the position of Azerbaijan? What do you have to say to us about that?
It's a matter of serious concern, given our strategic partnership relation with both Russia and Ukraine. We also have large diasporas of Azerbaijanis living in both countries. So from very early days, we've raised our concern and called on diplomatic means as a peaceful settlement of the conflict. We also provided from the early days the humanitarian assistance to the people of Ukraine, given the sufferings that they're going through. And until now, we provided the humanitarian aid worth more than 15 million euros, which is equivalent of 720 tons of humanitarian cargo, first necessities, and medications that have been requested by Ukraine. We also have large private and state investments in the territory of Ukraine. So one of them is the state oil company, which owns the gas stations in the territory of Ukraine. So our state oil company also agreed to provide for free fuel for ambulances and fire trucks. As a matter of principle, we believe that the conflict should be resolved through diplomatic means based on the fundamental principles of international law, such as respect for territorial integrity, for sovereignty, and inviolability of internationally recognized borders.
Mr. Vice Minister, could you tell us about the relations, parliamentary relations between Azerbaijan and Brazil? I know that our parliamentary went to Azerbaijan. We are connected in this area also. Could you please talk to us about that?
I'm glad to say that on top of our very good relation between the foreign ministers and other line agencies, we are also very proud of exchanges and visits between the parliaments of two nations. So there are two friendship groups, both in the Senate and the Chamber of Deputies in the Brazilian Parliament. And the heads and chairs of those friendship groups, they pay regular visits to Azerbaijan. They've been also to the liberated territories after the Second Karabakh War. In exchange, we have a friendship group in the Azerbaijani Parliament, and we're planning to organize a visit for him as well to come and visit Brazil. And as we are having new chairs in the newly formed Senate, we will be organizing also regular visits of the new chairs, the newly elected chairs of the friendship groups to Azerbaijan. So this context will continue, and we believe that these contexts are a very important part of our overall relation, and they help us and contribute greatly to the maintenance of the interstate relations. So this is part of a bigger picture that we believe in, and this has been very active again, despite the difficulties that we've been facing with the pandemic. The visits were being organized. I recall that in February 2020, both chairs, they visited Azerbaijan to take part as observers in the parliamentary elections in Azerbaijan. In the meantime, The recent visit was in October, November last year, and that was a visit of the senator to the liberated territories, also to the city of Agdam, which been totally devastated by the Armenian occupation, and which is currently being rebuilt. So this is a very promising direction, and I'm proud that there've been a lot of exchanges in that direction on top of our contacts between the foreign ministers.
Can you tell us about your visit to Rio de Janeiro also, and about the humanitarian help that you're planning to do in Brazil?
This year, we are having very important milestone that we will be celebrating with our colleagues in Brazil, which is the 10th year anniversary of the opening of the embassy of Azerbaijan in Brazil. And the next year, we will be celebrating another very important milestone, which is the 30 years anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Azerbaijan and Brazil. And as I was meeting our colleagues at the foreign ministry yesterday, we agreed that we will be working on joint events to celebrate this milestone, mostly for the next year. And as part of those joint events, we also believe in enlarging our cooperation in the humanitarian field. And in that respect, I should note that tomorrow I am planning a visit to Rio in order to visit this municipal school, which is located in Rio, which has the name of Azerbaijan. And we will be taking some donations and making some donations to that school tomorrow. And we believe that these kind of activities are an important part of our overall cooperation. In March this year, we also had a festival of Brazilian movies in Baku, which went very well. It was very popular. Last month, in April, we also organized a symphony orchestra concert in Rio, where Azerbaijani conductor participated, and that concert was dedicated to the liberated city of Shusha in Karabakh, and to the 100th anniversary of the famous Azerbaijani composer Fikret Amirov. So these activities, they come on top of our very good and solid political relation and economic cooperation, and we believe they should overall be part of this bigger picture and also help us to develop our overall interstate relations. So we will continue the cooperation in the field of humanitarian field.
Thank you so much. I wish you a nice trip to Rio, and I wish you like our country, and I wish all the best for Brazil and Azerbaijani relations. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.